Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. Alright then, okay, I want to talk about one of these types of videos again here. We're talking about giant monsters, creatures, and all that jazz, of course. And obviously you have a theme like war related, since this genre is known for this kind of a thing. I mean, a certain franchise anyway. So of course, I know, yes, obviously this month is just about to be over, so I still want to talk about some spooky related stuff. Granted, like I said multiple times already, I probably would have done this anyway because I like spooky movies. And I tend to watch quite a bit of this anyway. I like to talk about this kind of thing. So, if anything, I would have just done this regardless anyway. Okay, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Let's just get straight to the damn point, I guess. Because I want to talk about lost media, the films that were supposed to be made but weren't for whatever reason. So yes, this could be, of course, a number of different reasons. Maybe creative differences. Maybe the cast and crew keeps changing. Disagreements. I don't know. There could be so many reasons that can potentially get in the way. Maybe the director was fired, perhaps, or maybe the studio put the plug on this because maybe they don't have the faith in it really. But it could be literally anything that could actually get in the way of this kind of thing because it has happened quite a few times before. It's more common than you think. A lot of people don't think about that, but it's fairly common actually in the film industry, regardless of where it came from. Anyway, so yeah, I would definitely say that most people would agree that there was something special about the 1990s. It was a good time period for a lot of folks. Oh yeah, different fashions and whatnot. And someone's gonna say the same thing with the Godzilla Hazy series, even though most they came out during the 90s and 280s, but still, yeah. The film I'm going to be talking about will take place in this continuity of the Godzilla films, of course. And yeah, a lot of people do miss the 90s. It's a special time period for a lot of folks. So definitely. Anyway, this was the film that was going to be made. It was a plan for this kind of a thing, of course. And it was going to be released at some point during the 90s. It was going to be pitched by this one individual right here, folks. And yeah, and that's the thing, though. He had an idea for the next installment of the series, and it was going to take place after the film titled Godzilla vs. Spacegodzilla. So yeah, that was going to definitely be a thing here, folks. But anyway, the story for this film was going to be, of course, not surprisingly, going to be centered around with nuclear weapons because the idea here is going to be about the abuse of limited nuclear weapons in this conflict zones in the Middle East. So yeah, we're gonna have like a Middle East kind of a thing going on, and that attracts Godzilla himself, who is drawn to the various energy sources, so to speak. Additionally, there were going to be three new monsters that would appear in countries all around the world, transformed into monstrous big creatures due to the influence of nuclear weapons or used in various conflict zones. Well, of course, obviously. So anyway, time is of the essence, of course, as three monsters, the crazy creatures are destroying everything in their path, of course, paths, I should say, and of course, going to prey upon Godzilla, the ultimate nuclear energy source. He has to be tied to the story in some kind of way, of course. Anywho, the yeah, those of course are these individuals who are really knowing of the impending devastation. The G-Force deploys the latest and greatest weapons across the globe in an effort to save as many human lives as possible from the threats of these four monsters, even including Godzilla, of course. And Mechagodzilla 2 will be introduced, of course. And I guess it's gonna have some kind of special functionality for underwater warfare, of course. Yeah, I guess it was gonna be. I guess there was gonna be some fight scenes gonna be taking place underwater. I reckon, of course. Anyway, at some point, one of the new monsters will attack Godzilla in combat, but is unable to permanently strike down the foe, being Godzilla. Instead, it attacks another nuclear-rich source for his prey, Little Godzilla, little one. Brought to near death, G Force attempts to save the young monster's life at his faculty, of course, located based, of course, of Japan somewhere. And then from the sea, Godzilla and the new monsters would arrive, and round two will begin. So that's pretty much the gist of the story, really. It's okay. It was not going to be a thing. So of course, it's going to be like a global threat kind of a thing, obviously. And as mentioned before, this was going to be released after the Godzilla vs. Godzilla film, which was released in 1994. So this was a proposal tournament kind of a thing, which was held among assistant directors and the staff to see who could pen in the next entry of the series. One submission was the one I just mentioned, of course, but there's one individual, of course, and that individual is the one guy short a little earlier, folks, which would have been largely centered around the G Force responding to the appearance of four monsters terrorizing the world, again, including Godzilla. The first draft was definitely going to be titled Godzilla versus the Undersea Monsters, Little Dies, I should say, was later retitled to the title just a short earlier, of course, and that's definitely it was a thing. The scriptwriter had two endings in mind. One would be tragic, where the little Godzilla, was eaten by the new monsters and dies, and one hopeful ending where little Godzilla recovers, joins the forces with Godzilla, and defeats the new monster once and for all. Following the second draft, multiple plots retell Godzilla and this kind of thing existed, of course, for some that question the future of the direction of the Godzilla vs. Heisei series. The three new additional monsters were introduced in this proposal in this stage of the production were based upon these rare sea creatures, such as some creatures actually existed, of course. So these monsters wouldn't be actually based upon actual sea creatures that do exist in real life. I guess instead of just going for a sci-fi kind of thing, I guess the people behind this film wanted to go for more a realistic approach, I guess, to make it more believable. Okay, and not the first time this crew would have done this, of course. Okay, maybe not this specific crew, but this franchise had explored that kind of thing before. Where creatures would show up in the series that would be based upon real life creatures. So this kind of thing was an actual thing before. So anyway, this was going to be a thing, of course, and all three monsters will be in this film to have a climactic battle against Godzilla, despite lower intelligence with the monsters, I guess, and but they will have different abilities and appearances from one to the other. The origins of the new monsters were intentionally made to, I guess, mirror Godzilla's own birth. I guess you can say monsters born from war and nuclear weapons due to humanity's being, I guess, ignorant. So if anything, humanity has created its own weapon because human beings have been a bunch of dickheads, of course. Anyway, so that's the whole idea with that, of course. So the primary objective here was to write a proposal to take full advantage of the ocean, a setting typically reserved for a half of any Godzilla films, and just all the way to the climax, of course. So it's been mostly in the water. So this would have been a bit different, I guess, in some ways. So yes, this would have included a lot of troops from all around the world, of course. And yes, Mechagodzilla 2 would have made a return, but be adapted for the ocean. But ultimately, this was scrapped because it would have cost way too much. I mean, yeah, so the people who were gonna make this movie wanted to do like a realistic, believable, military kind of a thing here, folks, but it just would have cost way too damn much. So unfortunately, it was just not done. The budget was way too high, I guess, and typically these movies would be even just low budget. I mean, yes, the 1990s Godzilla films had way more of a butt. Okay, even go back in the 80s too, but these Godzilla films, the Godzilla HD series, did have more of a budget compared to the previous Godzilla films. But even then, it was still too much. Anyway, that would be it for now, folks. So, of course, as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh, yeah, later.